Everybody kicks in our fun, we in Trinidad. All our justice jail bill in record time. People asking if we promoting crime and we laughing. We laughing. Can't finish the hospital or priority, but they finish the money in the treasury and we laughing. We laughing. This got losing $500,000 a day. This jam on the main road and the highway and we laughing. We laughing. They went for Malik and the Guyanese let no holler run off the hook with his and we laughing. Everybody laughing, everybody glad. Everybody kicks in up on we in Trinidad. Some Barbadians say Adam shouldn't dead. A certain PM should have dead instead and we laughing. Laughing. DC Tobago and say tobacco where he get his schooling from them don't know and we laughing. Sideline the commissioner police since that happened. Look crime on the increase and we laughing. Laughing. The minister say crime on the decline and in 3 months they more than 29 and we laughing. Everybody laughing, everybody glad. Everybody kicks in up and we in Trinidad.
This is Caribbean Vibes.
Pass, you could see it building still and be laughing. Laughing. While the boys industrial burning down, 2 little boys in a back room having fun and be laughing. Laughing. No commissioner, 2 chief justice, I hope and can tell the Pope about this and be laughing. Laughing. The CJ wouldn't play my calypso like his I use any girl Toronto and be laughing. Everybody laughing, everybody glad. Everybody kicks in up on we in Trinidad. Stop taking serious things for nonsense and laughing. Laughing. Anything that takes place in this country, whether it affects the country or we laughing. Laughing. Water and gas throw in the same race. Hospital and sickness in second place and we laughing. Laughing. We mad people coming from heaven knows they walk in the street with the thing exposed and we laughing. Everybody laughing, everybody glad. Everybody kicks in up on we in Trinidad. Always reshuffling cabinet and up to now they can't do nothing yet and we laughing. Laughing. They buy a boat and it never floats. Instead we know it used to carry goods
Yes, indeed, of course, a pleasant good night to all and sundry. Yes, they only kicks in Parliament, and we have a duty and responsibility, an awesome responsibility, a sacred responsibility to expose their tails. They must understand that the people's business is the people's business, it is not their business, and that if they didn't want the job or they could not have done the job, having, of course, more than 9 years experience, get the hell out of office. Bottom line, no kicks. A pleasant good night to all and sundry, East, West, North, South, Central, or friends in Tobago, and wherever you are, streaming on the World Wide Web, a pleasant good night to you. Yes, this is the Corridor Show. Don't forget, share, because we have a bumper program as per usual, as we grow and grow and grow and grow and grow. But with the truth, you grow with the truth, but you get a longer and longer nose, like Rowley and they, when they tell lies. And boy, they could tell lies. Once again, a pleasant good night to all and sundry. Welcome to the Corridor Transformation right here on George Street, of course, in Port of Spain. All of the diaspora, up the islands, in the hemisphere, and in the world, a pleasant good day to you. This is, yes, the Corridor Transformation with your host, Lennox Smith. We're going to start back, of course, the impromptu telephone calls, but maybe closer to the elections. It's too much work in one night. In a 2 hour, minimum, maximum, yes, a little more. Yes, indeed. Enjoy.
The minister say crime on the decline, and in 3 months say more than 29, and we laughing. Everybody laughing, everybody glad, everybody kicks in up and we in Trinidad.
This is Caribbean Vibes.
Oh, yeah. I think the government in this country should treat you.
Of course, the recent episode indicating that the PNM and this government has collapsed. It is on, to use an oxymoron, steroids ICU. Yeah, intensive care. Steroids ICU. They're rapidly deteriorating. They can't even keep a date for their internal elections. They have to postpone it. And then the level of hogwash, the level of putrid that they speak in the Parliament, unsolicited, oblivious to what is around them, and it shows that the Almighty is at work. You see, evil could never prevail over good. And so, that is what you get when dishonorable people, conmen, criminals, and persons engaged in shenanigans seek honorable office as what they occupy now. Only evil could emerge, result an endangerment of the people, as is the manifested reality of Trinidad and Tobago today. Yes, indeed. Listen to them kicks.
Business faces running in the city. Before they watch this thing seriously, the only thing is a comedy. Ridicule and the party giving, and all of the members laughing. Whilst they having a good time, we catching we royal behind.
That is none of
Look, he was run girls now for all in the back room. You can't use the PTSD buses anymore though, but you can bring the girls for all, you know. Including Camera.
You're going to use the bathroom?
Yeah, Shannon Zami.
Hey,
Don't call my name. They go run girls now for all in the back room. You can't use the PTSD buses anymore, but you go bring the girls for all, you know. Including camera.
You're gonna use the bathroom?
Yeah, she runs on me.
Hey,
Don't call my name.
what wrong with you? Hey, boy, cool in the bike corner.
Listen to them. In the Parliament,
Did you
total
contact the boss?
miscreants engage in malfeasance.
One of our schools in the West, young girls behaving in a manner like hyenas in the African jungle.
Parents who breed monsters at home and send these monsters to teachers.
Well, I want to tell Mr. Prasad Bishop tonight, that is none of your goddamn business. Because as long as Sharon is happy with how much I have outside and how much I have inside, Rowley's happy with that. At least what I had outside and what I have inside, they escape and they're alive.
Her words are slurred. She's falling all over the world. In the car, out the car. Nah. No man ain't digging up in my bottom like that. Nah. No man ain't digging up in my bottom like that.
I mean, there's some people who know they're getting on, you know.
Kamala Prasad Bisesa and the UNC go and put that bill where the monkey put the nuts.
I'm telling you, like she doesn't know the man. And because she knows that I love women, she thinks I love any woman. I have taste. A lawyer who was on the verge of being your attorney general, sucking from the nipple of the families, and she could jump high, she could jump low, she could drink this, she could drink that, she could back the tongue, people don't know she chat. Coming with a coattail telling you, vote for Kamala. That is tantamount to hugging up a porcupine to go to bed. Now, of course, let a woman. You gotta groom her every day. Otherwise, it turns into a pasture.
I choose my words very carefully. You could behave as an effective opposition leader. I think the country is better for that. But geometry is not really the way to deal with these things.
1/3 of the murders in recent times are domestic violence or domestic issues. And then that, you call on the Prime Minister to do something about crime. I'm not in your bedroom, I'm not in your choice of men. Call on the Prime Minister to do something about crime. I'm not in your bedroom, I'm not in your choice of men.
They go run girls now for all in the back room. You can't use the PTSD buses anymore, though, but you go bring the girls for all, you know. Including camera.
You're gonna use the bathroom?
Yeah, she runs on me.
Hey,
Don't call my name.
what wrong with you? Hey, boy, cool in the bike corner. Did you contact the boss?
You can't use the PTSD buses anymore, though, but you go bring the girls for all, you know. Including camera.
You're gonna use the bathroom?
Yeah, she runs on me.
What wrong with you? Hey, boy, cool in the bike corner.
Yes, people, I'm sure that
They go run girls now for all in
you
the
are
back
saying
room.
that it's somebody else's
You can't
air
use the PTSD buses anymore, though, but you go bring the girls for all, you know.
that
Including
contemporary
camera.
You're gonna use the bathroom?
Yeah, she runs on me.
of government
Hey,
Don't call my name.
of course
hey, boy, cool in the bike corner.
claim that they are what? That they are impeccable and that they are cut and therefore an edge above the rest because they were there longest. But I want to tell you the party as a symbol, as a registered political organization, but in terms of the elements that now control the leadership, it is fresh, it is recent. As recent as 1986, when of course the old guards were decimated, and you have of course these rapscallions, these conmen, these no goods come and invaded and commandeered the party. But of course, they have all of the platitudinous expressions to suggest that they know what they are doing and that they are not criminals. Well, they have converted the PNM into a criminal enterprise, and I want you to always focus on how your common sense will tell you it is impossible, it is inexplicable, it is irrational, it is from the application of common sense. No way Rowley and them could have accumulated in 9 years, far less in 20 years or 30 years or 40 years hence, $100 million to construct Balize House in the way that they are doing it. And therefore, there is a nexus between being in power and that particular building being constructed. More importantly, being in power and then, of course, not fleecing. Fleecing is too, what I consider to be tenuous of a word. But thieving, larceny, in more ways than one. And don't tell me you don't understand what I mean by larceny or the thieving, Don't tell me that. And let me give you, of course, a couple of examples just in case. Just in case. When Delcy Rodriguez came here, the vice president still of Venezuela, the next day, even though it was sanctioned, even though it offended the United States, as was told to us by the sitting ambassador at the time, next day, a shipload of fuel ended up in Venezuela. And Paria, our importing fuel company, I want to be as specific as possible because, of course, the specificity will, of course, eliminate any need for regurgitation or explanations. The next day, we were told that they had a deal with somebody who is connected clearly to the Venezuelan regime, that they ought to have known, Rowley and they would have known, and the proximity, the nearness of Delcy Rodriguez's visit and that shipment must raise eyebrows. It must be flagged, red flagged, and then ended up, of course, in Venezuela. But our company is telling us, talking about Paria, is telling us that they didn't know that it was supposed to be Aruba, suggesting, of course, that people can trick them into, of course, engaging in a particular transaction and the goods could end up elsewhere. But I want to tell you, we have not seen another transaction like that. So that tells me that is conclusive evidence from clearly a circumstantial perspective, but deductive reasoning and inductive reasoning will have any reasonable person with common sense draw the inescapable conclusion. You know what I'm saying? Deductive reasoning, just in case, is of course a system of reasoning, a philosophy of reasoning, where you do an elimination process, deductive reasoning, and end up, of course, with the correct answer. Of course, inductive reasoning, something similar to circumstantial evidence, where whilst you may not have all of the physical and all of the chronological pardon, but your common sense will have to conclude that that situation existed because of the series of circumstances, circumstantial evidence. So we have a mix in this case of circumstantial and deductive or practical and common sense reason. Of course, in the criminal justice system, it is called the mens rea, the mental guilt. And you have, of course, the actus reus, the action that produced the guilty conduct or the guilty conduct. Yes, I don't want to be too complex, but we have to be able to understand that a fellow who is found in the situation as Rowley and they, where a shipment of gasoline ended up in Venezuela in a sanctions situation, Trinidad and Tobago being dependent on the United States for our economic relations and survival and even protection, because we have the shipriders agreement, and of course a number of other interventions that would have been made in terms of expertise and so on, whether it be the forensic center, whether it be, of course, elaborate and complex analysis of evidence that may be gathered from crime scene that goes, of course, to the United States. Laboratories specialize in these things, inclusive, of course, ballistics, meaning that to determine from which gun a bullet was fired and therefore to determine which gun killed that particular victim and who might have been in possession of it and therefore who pulled the trigger. All of that we have been dependent on the United States for. And of course recently, as we show where Rowley and they could go over the board, they can jettison themselves, they can become total and absolute ignoramus, and of course because there is a unspoken or unseen law, and that is evil could never prevail over good, they then talk a lot of hogwash. And of course I did in fact show the latest where Implosion is attempting, of course, to look at or compare the American situation as far as assault weapons are concerned, and trying to make some kind of puerile, frivolous, superficial argument that, of course, those weapons are distinct in the American sense, and therefore Trinidad and Tobago is attempting to do the same by way of including, of course, semi-automatic weapons as part of the cadre and capture that in legislation. While, of course, on the other hand, there is the argument that there is sufficient legislation to capture even the semi-automatic that they are now trying to categorize as a separate group of weapons, guns and ammunition, and it requires legislative action or confirmation at this time. You see, he and they are extremely confuffled. They are confused. And yes, I agree with that school of thought that we have enough legislation to capture. Why? It is not like the United States. We established that last night. That the United States has a culture, a tradition, how they gain their eventual independence or republicanism. And coming out of that, there is a powerful gun lobbyist that is in the United States that will be offended or will use its power to have the government emasculated or limit them in interfering with people's right to carry or bear arms. They have a right to bear and carry arms, you know. That is in the Constitution of the United States. Trinidad and Tobago doesn't have such a constitution. But what we have is what? Is the authority given to the Commissioner of Police, whosoever that may be, to authorize, of course, a firearms user's license. But the firearms user's license holder is not our problem. If we had one firearms user's license holder engaged in any one of the crime sprees and the proliferation thereof, we would have been easy. It would have been easy. All you had to do was to, once you catch that individual, at least one of them, and having regard to the fact that they have, of course, to record for the purposes of monitoring every bullet and the gun that they would prefer to use or purchase pursuant of that license, we easy like papi. We don't have a problem. Well, the problem in Trinidad and Tobago is illegal. Illegal arms and ammunition in the United States. Because of the ease with which one can get a firearm, it's used all over the place, and therefore they have to find ways and means of curbing some of the killing spree, particularly in schools. And notice, they still will not prohibit, because of the power of that gun lobbyists in the United States, as I said, nestled in history, and they don't make joke with that. So from time to time, and invariably, the perpetrator will be found easily because they just have to trace where they purchased the gun. In Trinidad and Tobago, it ain't hard that. It ain't hard that. All of the people who commit 3 and 4 murders with guns don't have a license. So what is Imsbert's argument in that regard? They have gone mad and trying to say that others, as in other words, trying to project onto others that which he is, a total ass. And of course, I did explain yesterday the whole question of the Trinidad and Tobago Revenue Authority and Imsbert, of course, and clearly by Rowley as well, new position that the Trinidad and Tobago Revenue Authority will shortcut, will emasculate, will make compendious short the period for pressure and, of course, more pain and ache and agony moving towards the second quarter of 2027 as outlined by both Rowley and Imbert in the initial stage. Why has he changed his mind and used, of course, a square peg in round hole argument in order to justify the unjustifiable? And trying, of course, to deflect attention away from the fact that they told us that we have to wait until 2027 to get, of course, the relief that still not explained by them, extremely amorphous, inexplicable. It's something like an amoeba all over the place. It could shift in there and everywhere, and yet still cannot come up with some kind of conclusive position. So, saying that by the second quarter prosperity will somehow visit Trinidad and Tobago is in itself an amorphous or incomplete or stupid or inexplicable, and therefore cannot be taken serious, especially when coming from these nincompoops. Asinine specimen of inhumanity and waste of protoplasm, the stuff that living things are made of. Yeah, waste. Best they will Best they were stillbirth. Best that they were part of the placenta. Yes. Yeah. That is how I see it. They are simply unfit for the requirement of contemporary and modern day Trinidad and Tobago as far as leadership is concerned and government and governance. They come across as a bunch of conmen, a bunch of mafia-oriented individuals led by a don called Keith Christopher Rowley, who find, of course, the next lie and deception in order to extend their life in government. If the people knew today, let's face it, if the people knew today, or put another way, if what the people know today, they knew in 2015, Rowley couldn't far less to sit on the prime ministerial chair. You know what I say he couldn't even far less to sit on the prime ministerial chair, whether it be in the Whitehall or elsewhere. He couldn't. But he was successful temporarily, and he always reminds me of people like Hitler, Mussolini, Saddam Hussein, and Gaddafi. And of course, our good friend cannot be left out of Zimbabwe, Robert Mugabe. And of course, to bring it and to crystallize it irrefutably, we have to, of course, include our Venezuelan, or put another way, Rowley's Venezuelan counterpart, Maduro. Clearly, what we know today, if the population had known that back in 2015, Rowley couldn't be there. The only person that seemed to know, but because he triggered the process, because he had Rowley close to him, it was Patrick Manning. But logically, one would have seen that he was doing that and maligning and of course warning us about the conduct and the attitude of this man, because he was challenging him. And Rowley himself generated the public persona, the public image that he was attacking his own party and therefore its political leader, Patrick Manning, because according to him back in 2015, he wrote in 2015, Manning and the PNM was corrupt. And therefore he brought up, of course, the Calder Heart issue. Don't forget. And he said that Minister of Planning, I didn't know that Napa had to have a hotel. And that, of course, there is a replica or part of the diplomatic center being constructed in the bush up in the heights of Aripo for Manning's, of course, prophetess. Remember that? Don't forget. So while, of course, at that time, and in that space, and in that moment, the population would have been in doubt about the sincerity of Manning in terms of what he said about Rowley, inclusive, of course, gathering the appellation or the pseudonym, a false name, a call, of course, Rottweiler, that Manning used to optimum because he just had to shook him and he would say and do anything, as we know now, as we can confirm without fear of contradiction. But when, of course, he mounted that Rottweiler called Rowley, and he couldn't dismount, and he would not allow him to dismount, he found himself in a vice grip, in a quagmire. He, Manning, and before you knew it, it was time to exit. And as Rowley said, he went to Likoto for him, and Manning was no more. Whilst living, he was no more, you know. As we demonstrated last night, when he said he went to Likoto, and Manning ended up with several strokes, etc. He Rowley take ownership of that. So we must not for one moment believe that is beyond Rowley to do those kinds of things because of his belief system and pattern. But the point I want to make is that if back in 2015 we knew of Rowley as we know today, no way he could have been Prime Minister. That's a fella to run from, to afraid. When he said go right, you go left. When he said to stand up, you jump. And when he said to close your eyes, you know you have to keep it wide open, as we know today. But then we couldn't know. We thought that Manning was, of course, on the decline. And of course, whilst in the office of Prime Minister and leader of the PNM, Rowley tackled him as well, and had certain, of course, financiers backing him. And then, of course, Manning was called to the infamous meeting in Westmoreland, where a substantial part of the 1% element that we know today resides and operates. And of course, while we don't have all of the details, but he was told that he will not be funded if they will not be funding if, of course, he returns or he does not resign. And so one of the options he had was to what call early elections. So he called the early elections after the 2007 elections, and by 2010, 2007, 8, 9, 10, between 3 and 4 years, he called early elections, and the rest now is history. And here comes the despicable, the evil, the wicked, the diabolical, only to understand that 9 years later in government. 9 years later in government after the 2015 general elections. Not even during, of course. Not even during, of course, that period of antagonism, Rowley revealed who he truly was. No, it's only after, whilst in the office of Prime Minister, we know him clearly, undubitably, undoubtedly, and without fear of contradiction. Get a little heated here. Let me just see if I can help myself here. Yes, indeed, people. Don't forget, of course, yes, I know that you're waiting, but the lines are open. The line is open at 337-6940. You can call me now. I never feel interrupted, but I thought it was important, of course, to lay the foundation. But let's go back before we go forward as to what was said in the Parliament and who Rowley, Imsbert, and Young really are. Rapscallions of unlimited. I see like the phone might have been given some issues. Sorry about that. The phone wasn't up, so just in case you wanted to call in, my apology. So you can call now. Sorry about that. It was not activated. But listen to what transpired in the Parliament. And they have a proclivity to go back to the place, like some old people say, they go back to the place where the crime was committed. So notice, back in the Parliament, the place where, of course, those false pieces of paper, what we call emails, and still today, he cannot escape the designation of being treasonous and still subjected to the criminal law in this country for what he did. All the evidence is clear that he concocted that, knew full well that he was concocted, and brought it to the parliament only to destroy a sitting government and a prime minister in particular. But more significantly, the Lord moves in mysterious ways, as we say. Let's go straight to the line, because he did not get a landslide as he expected with that piece of hogwash. It was 1823 then. A pleasant good night. Welcome.
Yes, good night, Mr. Lennox.
Good night to you as well.
I like how you laid the foundation tonight. You went back in the past.
Yes, ma'am.
And if people used to only listen, as you say, to Manning, and then when I was telling them about the gang rallying over there, over and over before the 2020 elections, people wasn't paying full attention. Well, no. Okay, Lennox?
Go ahead. I missed a little piece of what you're saying, so say it over again. Hello?
The internet giving trouble. Hello? The internet giving a little trouble. You
Right,
hear
no
me
problem,
clearly
no
now?
problem. You know what it'll be. Yes, go ahead.
Yes,
Yeah.
you hear me clearly now?
Yeah. Very
So
clear.
what I was saying, the people know now. So let's see what they're going to do this time around with the election.
Yes, they have no excuse though.
You know?
They cannot say that they don't know. Yes, I agree with you. 100%.
Right. So let me tell you something. The weapon for that short young, right, is to keep talking like that. That's why I used to keep talking the business, talking about them. They can't take it. And he come out now in the parliament the other day, and he make this country know that even the gang friends next door cannot take the talking here about them. And they want to direct the show here, right? Once they get in our parliament, where he telling our parliamentarians, right, to shut up their mouth with this talking, and the way they getting on, they wouldn't want to do business with them if they go in power, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he and lie is the truth he talking. They don't want nothing to do with Miss B. Sessa. She know that long time, right? But let me give you a little correction. Not correction, but let me let you know something about what you were saying with the fuel that left Paria. The man who bought it is a man called Wilmer Ruperty. You can remember tell you about Wilmer Ruperty?
Yes, I just give a general, but go ahead. I think it's important that you elaborate.
Yes,
go ahead.
we want everything to be clear. And Anil Roberts to tell people it was Wilmer Ruperty. It's he who purchased it. And when they over there ask him, well, why you do that? To help evade sanctions. He say he have to do it because he obligated to the regime, right? This man is a multi-millionaire, Wilmer Ruperty. He was a PDVSA executive. He do all kind of thing, and he well rich. He have oil tankers, a whole shipping company. And we know all of that. We get to find about he and his shipping companies. I believe it's Trafigura, right? It's one of them.
That's right.
That's right. So I was telling people all along from day one about this Wilmer Ruperty. And you see, they had to lie because they evading sanctions. People couldn't understand that. They got sanctioned. They didn't have any fuel in the country for cars and all of that. And then the U.S. let our country know about the vessel. They pick it up, and it didn't go to Aruba. It went in the north of Venezuela, where we know all of that, in Palito Refinery, right? It's a whole refinery complex with about 3-4 refineries. It's one of the largest refineries in the world. It's 4 of them all together. And one out of the 4 named Palito. one of the refinery that sent out the fuel in that boat were capsized in Tobago from that whole complex. The complex have a name, but I can't get the name right now. It's at the tip of my tongue, but it have a name, right?
Yeah,
so out of one of them refineries there, the vessel that capsized in Tobago, it came from there. Arnold Roberts is who bring that news. I ain't say nothing. Arnold let all you know that part. I stopped talking after all this thing, right? So people should understand now that they helped Venezuela evade sanctions. And after they helped them evade those sanctions, something dangerous, this is why they had to lie, vessels started coming from Iran. When I talk about that, they say they only want to hear about bread and butter. So every so often, the Iranians used to help them with natural gas, and it used to pass through here, right? And every time it passed, I will let you all know how they're helping them with the waters for these Iranian 4-5 vessels to pass, because they're obligated to give Cuba fuel. They have documents signed from Since Jarvis where Cuba have to get fuel free. All these things I've been telling you all, I'm just repeating. So when the fuel go there, it used to have bacchanal, because the Venezuelans used to watch how they're giving Cuba a whole tanker of fuel out of the 4, sometimes 5 Cuba have to get. And they used to be arguing about, you know, all this thing going on with Trinidad waters and Venezuela waters. And bam! Try and remember, the U.S. come and tell this government, that time Stuart Young was the Minister of National Security, and they tell this government they don't want any Iranian ships passing through our waters to go there. Because the Iranians is a bold-faced people, as we could see. They don't care. They help Venezuela with the natural gas, refined gas. Right? I used to tell you all vehicles shutting down everywhere, all that in the news. So they tell them, do not let any vessels pass through here to go Venezuela. Before they make it law in the Parliament, 5 more slip through, right? And then they buck up on the tail, and they had to put it law in the Parliament where there's not to have any business to do with Iran. And just the other day, when the time up with that, I don't know how it does really go with the law, but the thing expired, and they had was to renew it. And Saddam Hussein had to hustle them up in the Parliament when they wanted to take more time to renew the law. Saddam Hussein is who tell them that they have to do it because there's so much time passed. That is with the sanctioning of Iran. You understanding me now?
No, clear. I'm sure that
because it's all of them in it. As you know, the ambassador for the United States, the former one, let the country know they're dealing with these countries, and they're slipping away from the United States. So all this thing where Rowley blaming the United States for gun and ammunition, we get to see now the United Nations send out information stating where the guns coming from, who mixing up in the trafficking of the guns and arms from next door, blah, 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 blah. So it's a dangerous thing.
Yes, indeed.
Right? I only repeating to remind you, so you all have to keep pushing and reminding the people how dangerous it is with these people and the gang man friend and them.
Yes, indeed. Thank you.
Good night, Lennox.
Yes, ma'am. And of course, for the first time since we have been talking, I want to tell you, of course, go to the top of the class for that analysis. Beautiful. beautiful. I mean, I couldn't say it better. And of course, we're going to elaborate. But let's go to the line. Pleasant good night. Welcome.
Hey, Lennox.
Hey.
Good night. You hear me good?
Yes, I hear you. Somebody tried to call him, but I don't know how to get both of you, so I'll take you alone. Go ahead.
Right. Today in the Parliament. But I hear you talking all like how stupid this government is.
Yes, boy.
Right?
Total buffoons, you know.
Today in the Parliament.
Playing smart with buffoonery.
Yeah. And you know why they like that?
Yeah.
They train them to keep making excuses all the time. So they remain stupid. Let me show you what I'm talking about.
Yes.
Governor Dracula asked Marvin Gonzalez in the Parliamentary. He get it up by his parks have no lights, no street lights. Right?
Mm.
You know what Gonzalez said? He go all over Trinidad and nobody here utilizing the parks. All of them is that. That's what you Gonzalez said, no? So I thought Dracula was going to tell you, so we're trying to see. You're going to put no lights here? But he asked him, he missed a golden opportunity there.
All right.
The speaker couldn't tell him, Sheila, when that call you had to get it. That's what you come on the man out. I asked him about the street light and he told me what all about. And he had seen nobody in the park and so on. So he clearly said, he ain't going to put no street lights here. That's how stupid Marvin Gonzalez is. And all the rest of them. When Banjo Pandey died, they show you a little thing between Pandey and this one, Jeremy.
Yeah.
And Pandey asked a question. And Jeremy come and tell him how the bill don't pass. And there is that. But he get frightened when Pandey retaliates. Pandey tell him, so you try to tell me I can't bring my bill? If you tell me it again. But these people can't run nothing else.
Yes, clear. I mean, it's polluted. It is certain as night give way today and vice versa. These fellas simply weren't ready, and women weren't ready. They never were ready, and it was a con job they put on the people prior to 2015. That's all one could conclude. If we knew then what we know now, no way that crop of incompetent, indolence, and nincompoops could have been in government.
And they remain stupid because they're trained to make excuses.
Yeah.
They can't face the facts. Let me show you an example in 2015. When Kamala lose, I'm talking to her partner, right? I said, we after all these things this woman do. She come and lose. He said, and he agreed, he said she do plenty else, but at what cost? I said, wait a minute. You know, you're not there like free, you know. Although she do, she has to spend money. But he holding on to that belief. But guess what? You know, buy a new car.
Yeah.
And in front of me, and I'm watching him. I said, get a nice car, boy. Yeah, boy. I said, you pay for that or the gate free. I said, you pay for that or the gate free. And when he said, she said, go on, Clem. I said, you know what you're talking? Crap.
I hear you.
But I had the evidence. I said, this is why all you can't change.
Yes.
Right? And he said to me, in the Parliament.
Yes.
Excuse after excuse.
Yeah, they constant in their stupidity like the Northern Star.
The Northern Star.
They're that stupid. I mean, you didn't listen to Gospel Dolly when she saw that St. George's was still a construction site. Things were all over the place, wires and so on. The place was clean properly and so on. And she had a pre-prepared speech and continued with the pre-prepared speech. and of course touted that they spent $10 million. So she knows she had to adjust the speech and not talk about that $10 million until she launched some kind of investigation. That is the level of stupidity that we have purportedly be government and ministers in this country. So I am clear in my mind, you should be as well, and I'm sure the population eventually will get the message.
It's because I know the train here to make excuse to remain stupid.
Yeah.
And Lennox, she was a teacher.
Well, boy.
But he was just telling himself, what the hell wrong with she boy? And he was a nice fella, Yeah.
No, they have been a monumental disappointment. You know, and worse yet, they are highly immoral and unethical, and therefore they cannot claim any moral high ground in anything at all in this country, simply because they are at the bottom, if not deeper, in terms of morality, ethics, and sincerity. They wouldn't even get out at our office. That is to tell you how insincere they are.
But you can't claim nothing about no moral after that tape will you play.
Yeah. They have no patriotic bone in them. Nothing about patriotism and national zeal with them. It is just getting there to get unmerited access to power, to wealth, and to rub shoulders with the hard-working people who would have made it through grit and determination to get to where they are. They want to rub shoulders with these people automatically or without merit. But go ahead, my friend.
I hear one of the economists that I just give you.
Yeah.
He said you're going to call it snap election. Like what he's saying.
Yeah, well, because he's facing problems in the party. The fact that the PNM had to postpone their internals, clearly the party is imploding. Yeah. It is, of course, decaying, or should I say, getting gangrene from within.
Gangrene just kill you.
Smelling stink.
Yes.
Yeah.
But he said the UNCR prepared and UNCR prepared. How do you know that? How do you can tell the UNCR already? All of them against UNCR.
Well, all that is to call the elections, because to me, they said that already. It's deja vu. They're always saying that that's part of the rhetoric, and of course, you looking to put candidates in UNC constituency where you know you go lost. They start there. So it shows that there's a challenge for even candidates inside of their so-called traditionally strong dominant constituencies. And that is a serious development, you know. As I said, I am looking at Diego Martin, I'm looking at the Lambertons for the first time in a very serious way. Yeah. Yes.
Let me show you what is brilliant and what is stupid in Lennox. But you know that. But I'm just showing you a little bit. Donald Trump keep one debate with Biden. Right?
Yeah.
And he destroyed him.
Yeah.
They move him as the leader of the party. Harris and them come out and say they don't want no more debate. Right? I know that was a bluff. That night, the advisor said, why Trump will come out and give you another debate? You think Trump is an apple? I just show you one debate. I gotta come back again my audience.
Well, you know that it's not some people who are suckers for punishment. Like them PLM sacrifice Sunday.
Yeah. Or they fight up for themselves. Don't trouble now. Keep it going. I know you are actually to call it again.
Yes.
Trump will have the election. I'm after me Venezuela or you know. They are not escaping, you know.
Yeah.
Once Trump win the election, all this gas deal and all this hygiene and secrecy. All that done, you know.
Of course, because Trinidad has not been kind to the United States. They have been cheating. They have been disappointingly hypocritical right? They are really, of course, in a state where the captain has to examine the horns because they over the years have demonstrated that they are wolves in sheep clothing, and that they would, of course, bite in the very hand that feed them. And this is not a time for that. This is about sincerity and reliability of your allies.
Exactly.
Yes.
Well, all right.
Okay then.
I hear Mr. Riva talking.
Yes. I think she made so much sense that I had to give her a mark of going to the top of the class for the first time, because I think when she talked about, of course, Trafigura and of course that magnet that owns all these tankers and so on, and then of course her analysis as to how the gas reached Venezuela, I think it is worthy of giving her that commendation, so to speak. And that is what we want. We want, of course, irrefutable, very evident information, because at the end of the day, all of this would be for naught if you didn't act appropriately, because you would have been saturated, you would have been fed, you would have been inculcated, or you would have absorbed via inculcation the information that would change behavior. You see, I always tell my little son, and of course any class that I teach, education is about moving from the known to the unknown, quite apart from the simple thing, of course, remembering and all of that, because you have to remember these theories and these, of course, formulas, etc., particularly if you are in the science, but if you're in the pure science. But of course you have to do the same thing, of course, in the what is called the human or social science area, whether it be sociology, whether it be psychology, and so on. But the fact of the matter is that it is about changing attitude and behavior. This is what this is all about. To do the same thing over and over and expect a different result is either a madman or you're totally done the head. Especially when, of course, what you would have been exposed to is superior to that which, and maybe you were totally ignorant as to, ignorant here meaning not bad, but of course meaning lack of knowledge as to what was or what you were pursuing prior to being edified. In other words, I'm saying that at the end of the day, the information that you gathered here about, of course, Rowley and the fact that they have betrayed the people, that they deserve no further engagement by you and I in government. And that the PNM itself, we have a duty and responsibility having regard to how it has evolved, and the fact that it is now, of course, morphed or metamorphosized into a criminal enterprise. We have a duty to eliminate, annihilate, with all of the legal and other socio-economic and psycho-cultural arsenal that we have at our disposal. Let's go to the line. A pleasant good night. Welcome to the corridor.
Lennox, good night.
Good night to you.
That fellow that called you, like Tacarigua, right?
Yes, Mr. Tacarigua, that's right.
I know you like to watch movies. I was just asking if you ever see the movie The Wild Geese.
The Wild Geese?
Let him call back and let me know.
All right,
yeah,
okay.
The Wild Geese.
You know, I was to ask you the name of it. I will try to watch it tonight. But go ahead.
It's a nice movie, you know, Lennox. It's a real nice movie.
All right.
That was them old-time stars, Richard Burton, Richard Harris, Roger Moore. No, Stuart Granger. That's he kind of show. He didn't watch them thing. He used to watch them show.
All right.
Mr. Takari, you know about that. Lennox, I see the media trying to get in touch with Stuart Young tonight for the foolishness he speak in Parliament. And the man in and say no phone.
No, that's what they do. That you could project that. You could anticipate that. You could prophesy that. Because that's how they are. As soon as the political stocks are low, they then of course gone silent. Like Rowley introduced this term into, of course, the lexicon of the politics in this country. They get pip. They get pip. They can't talk.
Pip, political pip.
Yes.
And you know what's shocking, boy? I see this station, CNC3, carrying on a survey, right? There's a little people meter survey.
Yes.
And they W people on the road, asking them who them think could be the next PNM leader. One woman come up and says, Stuart Young, like she ain't what this man do in Parliament or she out for that. What is wrong with these people, boy? And you know, half of the people on them can't answer who to put. One recommend Leon.
Yeah, they can't.
One recommend
but they can't because there is no material there. There is no material there. The man who is longest there with Rowley is Hines, and he wouldn't even be a consideration. And possibly, of course, this girl Penelope Beckers, but she has proven to be, of course, a skirt holder, a hang-on, not an independent person.
You mean a doormat?
Well, a doormat. All that will be appropriate in terms of describing what she has produced or what she has demonstrated to be in government at this time. She can easily be manipulated, so she is extremely malleable. But I think Rowley will still have a difficulty because she challenged him some time ago and he cast her away, of course, to the United States as ambassador.
Well, one person recommended she. But I don't think the PNM have anybody inside of that party.
No, there is none. So let's not waste time. You have no Munilal to take over. Munilal is a fairly young fella. And you have, of course, some very senior persons, whether it be Kupi Singh, etc., that could, of course, fit the cloth, so to speak.
Dr. Rowley, like that throw bait and all to catch people, you know.
Yeah.
He sending out these kind of mixed signals, he last term and all kind of foolish talk.
Oh, yeah.
To do what?
That's about the third time he did that, so I am not going to take him seriously. He wants to go on by his feet. You know the Bear Nancy story. Don't throw me in the bush, but is the bush you want to go? Well, he wants to stay there as long as he has the possible mental capacity. But even that is being questioned based on the issues that he is engaged in his policies. Caller, just hold on and just winding up with this caller. Go ahead.
Whether or not that mandate, Lennox, it will make a difference because the country running from upside down to worse.
Yeah, I hear you, my friend.
Up to now, Erland, she police service. He ain't come up with nothing at all questioning who these people who walking around wearing tactical uniform and all kind of thing and going and holding people up and kidnapping them and nothing coming up on his mouth.
What can they say? It is ineffable. It cannot be explained. There's no words to explain that development. And they are going to be hard pressed to give an explanation simply because they are not qualified so to do. So you need a different, proactive type of commissioner of police to address this particular matter in a very practical and reasonable way.
She would never address the public. She just send one of them ASP
or whatever they call them. Lower rankers. All right, let me get to this other caller that is waiting. All right. Thanks very much. Yes. Go ahead, caller. Thanks very much for holding on. Plus a good night. Plus a good night. Oh, sorry about that. All right, good. Sorry about that.
Yeah,
yes, go ahead. Yes.
Hello?
Yeah, go ahead. I hear you know.
Yeah. I have to make about 4 points, right? But I won't be long. Unless I can small and bulletin.
All right. Yes.
One of the reasons why I believe that we have a border problem in this country and a high criminal rate because of drugs that come in from next door, right?
Yes.
And we can't have a border to stop that drugs from coming in and guns out there because Maduro is wanted for narco trafficking by the US, plus for stealing the election, right? So that could only give it that much. And so you know why they have to have the border open and they have to mash up all the ship and the boat and thing. And if you can remember the woman called Dana Sita, why they killed, she I don't want to go down to more detail.
So in this country, we have some serious job market, but I don't want to go on in that detail too. I want people to reason and open their eye and see what's going on. So that is why we will always have that problem with the border, because that will remain open. Free trade now, drugs and narcotics and whatnot and guns and things. The other thing is Heinz can answer a proper question. He going right. I hear Saddam Hussein asking him a couple of questions about them both, and he going right around the circle. And he can't come there and have satisfactory answer. He's going right around. He's an ex-Kamala Harris. Right two. Number three, it look like we only want to take the 3 boat from India and put a bomb and behind it to go and patrol along the border now. So he could say he spent $500 million behind them 3 arms, them 3 boats, and Heinz have it. But we wouldn't see them boat because them is invincible boat. Right?
Yeah.
Like that. And the other thing is, watch your only tongue. I listening to him. He lighting fire. He's going right along the UNC and lighting fire. Right with his tongue, and he's trying to burn, light a fire in the UNC because he knows only the UNC can stop him from getting back into government. So tell them to keep their eye out and listen to him. Don't answer him back. He doesn't let him talk.
But let me just say, just before you leave, for Rowley, this is about avoiding silver bracelets and blue lights. Let me get it clear. That is what he is afraid of. If he could leave now, he would. But he cannot afford to leave unless giving it a try to stay there, simply because it's inevitable blue lights and silver bracelets. In his old days, he had to spend, of course, some time in some kind of mental asylum for the criminally insane, because you have to be mad to do what you did to the country and expect it to not pay the price. Wow.
Yeah, that's one. Well, he said he expected a goal when he ride out, because he expected to get, how do you call it, I think a goal, but he used a word, but
a bag of gold?
When he leave,
a bag of gold?
Yeah, but what's going on? At the end of the rainbow, but what happened here? He taking off the rainbow to one goal.
Oh yeah, well, the cliche is a pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. All right.
So let he see the blue light.
Yes, see blue light.
So all way to the people.
Thank you very much. Yes, thank you very much. Yes, indeed. But I want to before I go to the clip. But let's go back to the phone. Pleasant good night. Welcome. Pleasant good night. Welcome.
Me again.
Yes, go ahead.
My boy Shy, I hear the fella tell him that was America.
Yes.
And he a good movie to look at.
The geese.
Yeah, the wild geese.
The wild geese, right? Okay, the wild geese, right? I'll try to look at it tonight.
Keep it pull it up. In the end, they have to shoot with your Harris, you know.
Well, don't tell me nothing. Let me see for myself now.
You pull out that
I'm a friend. When we put on the movie, to talk right through, I decided to take off the movie beforehand because I don't know the ending already. And everything in between. Yeah. Yeah. All right. Yes, I'll take a look at it tonight, right?
All right.
Yeah, the wild geese. Yes, indeed, of course we go. But I must say this before we go back to the horrendous and the expose. They do it themselves, huh? Rowley, Imbert, and Young did it for themselves. So you see, you have to believe that there is a superior or supreme being. What are the chances that under normal circumstances they will leave their mic open so that all of us could hear? And I'll show you how it occurred tomorrow night. How it occurred. It was when, of course, there was the exchange. The deputy speaker was leaving Ford, and the substantive speaker was entering onto the chair, and he said George. And in that lull, in that period, the mic stayed on, and then they made their comments. And now today they're hiding. I should find, of course, that gospel tune that says, of course, somebody wherever it is hiding. I'll do that, hiding from Trinidad and Tobago in this case. But let me tell you this, how these fellas have gone mad. Remember the Prime Minister and of course the Minister and the man for digital transformation touting, of course, this cashless society. So here it is. I want you to go and watch it. I'll bring it up, because it is important that we look at it critically. So Imbert is there on the floor, winding up, of course, in the 2025 budget. And he says, listen, they are criticizing our cashless society agenda, but we will pursue irregardless of how they feel. We have a duty and responsibility, in other words, to, of course, engage, because we have to bring the country in line with modernization. And he mentioned a couple of countries that are already cashless. But hear what? Why is he saying that? The issue came to his mind. Nobody tell him anything, because he was on the floor. Why not? He has his 40 minutes, as the case may be. You know what I'm about to say? He was damning, he was criticizing, he was excoriating, he was critical of Hyatt, saying that it is wrong for them to engage in a cashless transaction system at the hotel. You're now saying that you want to bring the country cashless. In other words, don't use cash, the same thing that Hyatt introduced. And you're damning Hyatt for introducing a cashless system, while, of course, you are saying that that is the best thing since sliced bread. I'm telling these fellas gone mad. I'm telling you to go and watch it. And I'm telling you what part of the boring presentation is just to the ending of his address. So just about 5 minutes before the ending, he talked that level of hogwash. You now making an argument and you're saying that Kamala and them don't know, and of course they are not modernized, and that you are not Neanderthal, and that of course you all are not cave people, and old-timeish and nostalgic, and of course anachronistic, and all of the other issues that of course will make a country look as though it is going back in time. But Amos Putin, as you know, why the hell, if you know that all the time, why you take away the laptops from them youths and them? Rowley? Imbert? Why? Why did you take away laptops as soon as you got in from those young people? Don't you know that by now many of them would have been so advanced in terms of being familiar with the technology that Trinidad and Tobago would have been difficult to reach or touch? We would have been, of course, producing by now our own apps and our own software, and probably producing hardware as well, and designing, of course, our own computers, these nincompoops. And it's no different to that situation last Friday. I mean, it was the most despicable and the highest exhibition of dotishness, of nincompoopishness and inaneous that you could ever see in any settled in one individual. One man couldn't be that stupid. But still, at the same time calling others stupid, they can't check, they can't this, they can't that. But of course, but the country's Auditor General say that he supervised the missing of income of over 3 billion, and then when it was corrected, even when it was corrected, there was still a shortage of more than 2 billion. And in addition to that, they can't find $1 billion in expenditure. But he was, you see, these fellas clearly would have been good candidates to replace Larry Joseph, yeah, and Tommy Joseph is a bunch of what I consider to be ludicrous. A comedian, you have to lampoon them, you have to caricature them, and you have to let them know, get the hell out of office sooner rather than later, because it's nonsense you're talking. How the hell you're putting an argument for, of course, cashless society, and at the same time, because there was an article and the people were concerned domestically about the policy of Hyatt cashless, he went to town on the cashless policy of Hyatt. So what are you really saying? I say it's much ado about nothing. He's singing loud and saying nothing. He's an empty vessel making plenty blasted noise, and at the end of the day, he does not know one iota of what he is speaking. Because you ought not to have brought in the question of and the concern with respect to Hyatt in that debate, if you know your position, is that the cashless policy of Hyatt would go counter or contrary or anti or diametrically opposite to your policy that you want to implement as a cashless society for Trinidad and Tobago. You have to be an ass. Now, if it was me, and I had to bring in Hyatt, I would have said that while you have not yet implemented cashless, but it's a good thing that Hyatt is going that route, because it will fast track, and of course people will get to know faster our cashless or cashless policy and program. But more importantly, if he had a concern to get petty political currency, then he should say that the argument about locals, since we have not yet gone fully cashless, the idea that at this time locals cannot use local currency to treat with that, to treat with services provided by Hyatt, that's a valid one. He had all that at his disposal and still pay the ass with it. These people need to go back to school, clearly. But let's go to the lines. Let's go to the lines. President, let me just make sure. President, good night. Let me just make sure. Let me just make sure that okay. Right, good. President, good night. Welcome.
Yeah, hello.
Yes.
You hear me?
Loud and clear, my friend. Loud and clear.
Okay, I've called this San Fernando here.
Yes, go ahead, San Fernando.
Now, what you're talking about there with what happened with Implosion and the Hyatt.
Yes.
Right? It reminds me of a book I once read, and the issue even goes back to Keith Scotland.
Yes.
Now, let me explain it here.
Yeah.
I once read a book on technology. Now, remember that there were companies used to produce before the refrigerator was born, right?
Yeah.
They were taking ice off from the North Pole and going and dig it out and coming into the summer when they would store the ice, right? But some little guy decided, well, look, I'm gonna make a box, experiment and make a box to make refrigerator, right? And the big company refused him. So he found a way to make refrigerators so that people could get ice instead of going way up in the North Pole and bringing it down or whatever. People could get ice during the summertime, you know, because you have your box, you know, you could put your water in the box and bring the ice and the water.
Yeah, the ice will be preserved, yes.
Yeah, so this is learning, right? You're experimenting and you're learning things. Today, right, you have refrigerators flooding all over the world. You understand? So when you just say now that you know, why you only took away the laptops from the kids?
Yes,
right?
But what is going digital? They want to go cashless and all that kind of nonsense.
All of that nonsense. Look at the issue even in Scotland. Go back to bicycle, telling people
All of
go back to bicycle.
that, these bunch of Neanderthals, cavemen, and talking about a bunch of hogwash in the parliament. If you know how that is getting vexed, I wish if they come on Prince Street on a Friday, made them one clout for the stupidity.
And I want to say also that recently I went up, I think it was in Moruga Bastia, to a meeting, and I saw a sign in the bush, but the sign in the bush, like the program the sign from some white thing up in Bastia, and the sign in the bush read that they were teaching machine shop.
Yeah.
Machine shop work and operational thing to make, things for oil field and all them kind of things.
Yes.
No, you closed down White Tap. All of that was going on in White Tap, so young people would have had opportunities to make
alternative to academics.
Alternative.
Yeah. But all are not going to be. Firstly, you don't need everybody to be an academic in the country. Your country dead. Secondly, whilst all cannot have a skill, but it would be nice for all to have a skill because you can have something to fall back on. And thirdly, you must have people who, because they are not academically inclined or they have a preference to use their hands, you must provide facilitation as a government for that kind of person to develop themselves within the society.
And I have a very good propensity to use my hands.
Right, and I'm sure that is where you went over the years. Yes, that's right. Yes.
So my mom realized that listen, I wasn't too much in the real academic world, and she realized that I could use my hands. So she helped me to develop the skill and push it higher and higher until I reached where I could even make a living and all of that. But when you take away things from people, the government itself taking away things from people, right, as I just say with the White Tap thing, right? And all even taking away the computers. You're killing your country. And they don't understand that, they're just talking a hole in a block.
Yes.
And, so, this is my country. You said it tonight, so,
Thank you very much, because you brought up the whole question of academics and, of course, people's inclination or aptitude. I'll give you two examples before, of course, we go to the clip that we started with and will continue to play towards the end. I developed, of course, the program called MLIO. Is a training complex for practical skills and to deal with those persons who may not be academically inclined. That's the first. Of course, if we have people that are academically inclined, as we have, we then, of course, assist them to go on to the next level. But I remember having been part of an exhibition with, I think, an institution in the United States that was, but it was being housed at the Hazy Crawford Stadium on the grounds there, not on the field, but on the outskirts. And then, of course, there was the permanent secretary for the Ministry of, I think it was education, but from the vocational, from the tech voc component. I could never forget him. Many of you, if I call the name now, Justin Paul, would have been the man. Very, very, very accomplished man, very knowledgeable, etc. Yes, the United Nations, I think was UNDP, had input in it. So we had that exhibition. So my school, Mobile Laboratory Trade School, put on an exhibition as well. We had a booth there. So at the booth, we engaged in discussion. Of course, Mr. Modest as well was a senior man in the tech voc area as well. So those are names that the older folks will know once listening to this program. But I want to tell you the experience I had. So it came down to the question as to what are the pre-qualifications that a person must have to, of course, enter into tech voc, because the whole essence of the discussion and the whole purpose for us being there was to look at tech voc advancement, meaning technical education, trade, what we call trade. Guess what? So Modest run and says, well, listen, you have to know maths, you have to know maths, and meaning, of course, everything, arithmetic, geometry, as well as algebra and any other component and so on. So when it came to me, I said, no, you don't have to have all of those things to start to learn a skill. All you have to have is aptitude. You must want to learn. And then, if you are doing, for example, in the electronics department, where you have to learn formulas and you have to learn colors and ampage, etc. And to do that, you need that part of arithmetic or that part of maths that speaks to arithmetic. You don't need to do geometry, you don't need to do algebra. And guess what? The representative from UNDP shake my hand. He said, Mr. Smith, I agree with you. Mr. Smith, I agree with you. What we have is a skewed system where people, if you go to Japan, for example, and you see a child dismantling, let's say, those assembled toy cars. And when they see that, they leave that child to go right up. And whatever they have to learn to accomplish or to become an expert, they then, of course, engage, And that child becomes extraordinary and inventing, etc., because of the aptitude, the attitude they have, and the need for them to, of course, exploit and learn in that particular area. And then other things will follow. A pleasant good night. Welcome. Do you agree with me?
I agree with you, man. Lennox, Kenrick, how you doing?
Hey.
Good night.
And I want to thank you, of course, for that video which I spruced up for tonight. You'll hear it later.
No problem. I always send stuff for you, but you don't see that, man.
No. Well, I have to pay attention now because you are quite...
Pay attention. I send you good stuff.
Yeah, you are quite well in the United States.
I'm in top of the game.
Yeah, you're in the United States and you can get that before me. I have to pay special attention to you. But go ahead, my friend. Yeah.
Talking about that cashless business.
Yes.
In both of them, trying to hide that money machine and all of them. Trying the best to hide that money somewhere. So that the company's cashless business, so we have no trace where that money went to. So you have no means of doing that. So all these things about cash stuff, we think they care, they really don't care, but you have to hide that money somewhere. It's not leading to that, Lennox?
Yeah.
It's not leading to that, to hide that money?
I didn't hear what you said.
I say now.
Yeah.
It's not leading the input for to hide that cash. We want to make cashless to hide those money.
Yeah, we come into that. We're going to examine that as well because this is the most.
The whole thing about that is that's your view.
Yeah.
You don't really care. Them don't really care about that.
Yeah.
Huh? But then again, coming to thinking, that thing about Raleigh in government. That if it had 2015. You would have changed your mind. But Manning already told them. I already said what kind of man that was. Still put him there. You see? So, not just that they didn't know a lot, but they still know something. But anyway, I order thing for you.
All right, good. You'll talk to my assistant.
I'm good.
Yeah, talk to my assistant and we'll make arrangement to get it to me.
So I don't know. Tell me what to do, how to send that.
All right, she will call you tonight. She will call you tonight and we'll make the arrangement and we will...
Make the arrangement because I'm
most likely it has to be done by...
I'll send it out for you.
Yeah, it has to be done by courier.
Courier?
Yeah,
courier. All right, let me know how it is.
Yeah, all right.
Anyway,
so she will call you tonight. She'll call you tonight or tomorrow.
All right.
Really appreciate that. Thanks. Yes. Yes, indeed, people. So we are getting assistance all over the place, people, United States, Canada, of course, and beyond. I want to say, of course, we really commend all of you for making the success that it turned out to be. Talking about that patriotic lunch on Friday. There was some logistical issues that we have to iron out and smoothen out, but by and large, some people got their lunches as late as about, let's say, 5 o'clock, so that will be close to dinner time. But nonetheless, of course, everybody enjoyed it, and that is pleasing for us. It means, therefore, that we need to just become a little more efficient in terms of avoiding the delays that could have been avoided. I thought they should have started work earlier, having regard to the volume of orders that we would have gotten. Yes, quite a few. I saw with 44. I myself went for 20, about 32 or 33. Yeah, and of course I had to distribute, etc. But of course, by and large. And I want to say, because that person listens to me religiously in the night as well, I want to apologize, of course, for delivering chicken as opposed to veggie. By the time we reached that particular person, I can say too is in Barataria, we thought that the people who packed up the boxes didn't put the veggie, but what really happened, they put it separate because it was less veggie than, of course, a chicken. Because remember, it's two menus, one chicken, one veggie, and so that was separate in the car. And we didn't take time to look carefully when we arrived there, because she had six lunches to was her order to collect, and when we looked, we saw 5, and then we saw another 6 chicken, and we of course gave it up. Of course, we saw a disappointed face. And then she said, of course, I do eat chicken, I do eat meat at all. So we know that we had violated a cardinal or committed a cardinal sin as far as she's concerned. So when we went a little further down to deliver, we discovered that the veggie was in fact in the vehicle. So we simply, and the vehicle wasn't working well, but we limped and we got back there and we delivered, and afterwards there was a beautiful smile. So I'm sure that that would have been converted to the what I consider to be a full meal, and of course with all of the gastrointestinal activities that will go with it. In other words, tasted well, and of course enjoyed by, of course, all and sundry. I've had no complaints because it was a full meal. I had one myself, and I can tell you I had to give away some. That's to tell you how much it was in terms of satisfaction. But that is about quality. Quality is about really satisfying the customer. Was the customer satisfied? Well, of course, quality has been achieved. And I think it was a display of quality delivery. That being as it may, I want, of course, to say that, again, you cannot go one better than Rowley and them. As I said, with respect to this cashless society, he's promoting cashless as a national agenda. A cashless organization implemented their own policy before you, and you was castigating them on the basis of cashless. You had to be an ass. But I'm not going to go further there. Let's go back into that. I want to play it as much as I can, because of course it's important that those who didn't hear it now, because it's a bunch of opportunistic political parasites that have infected our parliament, our cabinet, our government, and ought not to be and ought not to have been in office at all. Let's go straight there.
He will run girls now for all in the back room. You can't use the PTSD buses anymore though, but you will bring the girls for all, including cameras. You're going to use the bathroom? Yeah, hey, don't call my name. Hey, boy, cool it if I call it.
All what we can say, what's wrong with all this? Because he suspected that the mic was on.
Did you contact the boss?
Clip of some school children from one of our schools in the West. Young girls behaving in a manner like hyenas in the African jungle.
Parents breed monsters at home and send these monsters to teach us.
Well, I want to tell Mr. Prasad this tonight. That is none of your goddamn business. Because as long as Sharon is happy with how much I have outside and how much I have inside, Rowley's happy with that. At least what I had outside and what I have inside, they escape and they're alive.
Her words are slurred. She's falling all over the world. In the car, out the car. Nah. No man ain't digging up my bottom like that. No man ain't digging up my bottom like that. I mean, there's some people who know they're getting on, you know.
Kamala Prasad Bisesa and the UNC go and put that bill where the monkey put the nuts. Like she's not like she doesn't know the man. And because she knows the line.
You know how to pause say, this ugly son of a bitch talking about people love you. And especially Kamala Prasad Bisesa. The man has an obsession with Kamala. But ugly people, especially men like him, always one thing that they deserve. The ugliness will not permit it physically. So what happens? There is something called like the fox and the grapes. You have any fox and the grapes? When he couldn't get the grapes, he say, it must be sour, it must be rotten, it must be ain't good, all of that. It is called a position that is clear cognitive dissonance. The psychologists call it cognitive dissonance. He can't get it. So he has all kinds of things to say about it. And you may know that too. Some of you, when you had a challenge and of course wooing or causing a woman who you like but not responding to all of your overtures. Don't tell me I don't know. You know. But this ugly man wants to get at Kamala Prasad Bisesa. And because he has not been able so to do as Prime Minister, even as Prime Minister, after all, the man has a face only a mother would love. Only a mother would love. I don't even think a brother or sister will love that. They want to say, well, what have I been plagued with or born into with a face like that? But listen to him.
And because she knows that I love women, she thinks I love any woman.
Let's pause there and go to the line. A pleasant good night to welcome to the corridor.
Yes, Lennox. Oh Lord, that thing shaven, boy. And you know you have it more clear tonight. You're hearing it clear.
Yes, I promised that I will do it and I did it. Yes.
Ms. Kamala Prasad Bisesa will know how to answer them.
Of course.
She will answer them.
Yes,
she will have them weak.
Yes. I expect that.
Yes. But what I'm telling you with that short young, I tell all you everything long time. I come in again for you, know.
No problem, remain consistent.
The people of Trinidad and Tobago are stupid. And we already say that?
Yes, he did.
Well, I telling you too. The people of Trinidad and Tobago are stupid. Because I told you all that the whole blasted regime over there sanctioned for all kind of thing. Everybody know Maduro wanted for they're paying 15 million for his arrest. I told you all it have others wanted too. It have who get catch. I tell all of that. So what the hell our government doing business with a whole blasted regime with sanction and who wanted for all different kind of things? Let me tell all you something, and all they don't know it. It takes years for the U.S. to catch up with Nicholas and his drug trafficking. You know they're taking time to catch up with this one here?
Of course. Just a matter of time.
Just a matter of time. What the hell them doing? And everybody comfortable. And they're hearing when I'm talking because they like people business. You see what you're playing there? They would like to hear that whole night. They shoot down this messenger and are laughing. Who laugh? Just laugh the best. I'm watching and I'm listening.
Well said, my dear. Well said, my dear. And sometimes, of course, in other circumstances, the stone that the builder rejects sometimes become the cornerstone. So be optimistic. But let's continue, of course, with this video that was captured some time ago. But of course, to show a consistency, and then we intermingle the recent, should I say, verbal catastrophe for them, because he can't talk to him. Yapip. Can't talk to him. Nobody. He wants to see anybody. Same thing like Al-Rari, when the information about Vincent Nelson came out, he get pip. But of course, we only forced him to say something, and you saw him, his whole face is ablaze. You can't figure out if he's smiling, if he vexed, or if he is anywhere in between there. Because it is totally blasé, in other words. Well, same thing with this fella. He will come out for a little while. But let's hope by the time he come out, the elections will come and go, and they are out of office, and they face it, of course, silver bracelets and blue lights.
I have chased a lawyer who was on the verge of being your attorney general, sucking from the middle of the families, and she could jump high, she could jump low, she could drink this, she could drink that, she could back me down, because I didn't know she's jack.
Coming with a coattail telling you, vote for Kamala. That is tantamount to hugging up a porcupine when you go to bed. Go of course on that woman. You gotta groom her every day. Otherwise it turns into a pasture.
I choose my words very carefully. You could behave as an effective opposition leader. I think the country is better for that. But geometry is not really the way to deal with these things. 1/3 of the murders in recent times are domestic violence or domestic issues. And then that, you call on the Prime Minister to do something about crime. I'm not in your bedroom, I'm not in your choice of men. Call on the Prime Minister to do something about crime. I'm not in your bedroom, I'm not in your choice of men.
He go run jails now for all in the back room. He can't use the PTSD buses anymore though, but you go bring the girls for all, you know. Including Kama.
You're going to use the bathroom?
Yeah, Shin and Zami.
Hey, what?
Don't call my name.
What wrong with you? Hey, boy, we're calling the mic on. Did you contact the boss?
You can't use the PTSD buses anymore though, but you go bring the girls for all, you know. Including Kama.
You're going to use the bathroom?
Yeah, Shin and Zami.
What wrong with you? Hey, boy, we're calling the mic on. Calling the mic on.
Yes,
He will run jails now for all in the back room. You can't use the PTSD buses anymore though, but you go bring the girls for all, you know. Including Kama.
You're going to use the bathroom?
Yeah, Shin and Zami.
Hey, what?
Don't call my name.
What wrong with you? Hey, boy, we're calling the mic on. Did you contact the boss?
Clip of some school children from one of our schools in the West. Young girls behaving in a manner like hyenas in the African jungle.
Parents who breed monsters at home and send these monsters to teach us.
Well, I want to tell Mr. Bishop tonight, that is none of your goddamn business. Because as long as Sharon is happy with how much I have outside and how much I have inside, Rowley's happy with that. At least what I had outside and what I have inside, they escape and they're alive.
Her words are slurred. She's falling all over the world. In the car, out the car. Nah. No man ain't digging up my bottom like that. Nah. No man ain't digging up my bottom like that. I mean, there's some people who know they get on, you know.
Kamala Prasad, Bissessa, and the UNC go and put that bill where the monkey put the nuts.
I'm telling you, like she doesn't know the man. And because she knows that I love women, she thinks I love anyone. I have taste. A lawyer who was on the verge of being your attorney general, sucking from the nipple of the Prime Minister, and she could jump high, she could jump low, she could drink this, she could drink that, she could back on the dog, we could drink she jack. Coming with a coattail telling you, vote for Kamala. That is tantamount to hugging up a porcupine to go to bed. Go post like a woman. You gotta groom her every day. Otherwise it turns into a pasture. I choose my words very carefully. You can behave as an effective opposition leader. I think the country is better for that. But geometry is not really the way to deal with these things.
1/3 of the murders in recent times are domestic violence or domestic issues. And then that you call on the Prime Minister to do something about crime. I'm not in your bedroom, I'm not in your choice of men. Call on the Prime Minister to do something about crime. I'm not in your bedroom, I'm not in your choice of men.
Well, they go run girls now for all in the back room. You can't use the PTSD buses anymore though, but you go bring the girls for all, you know. Including Kamala.
You're going to use the bathroom?
Yeah, Shin and Zami.
Hey, what?
Don't call my name.
Where are you two? Hey, boy, cool in the mic on. Did you contact the boss?
You can't use the PTSD buses anymore though, but you go bring the girls for all, you know. Including Kamala.
You're going to use the bathroom?
Yeah, Shin and Zami.
Where are you two? Hey, boy, cool in the mic on. Cool in the mic on.
Yes, people, these perverts, these predators, head of it, of course, Rowley, the rapist and pedophile. Not surprising. Not surprising at all. And they dare not. Oh no, let me put it another way. They're bold-faced. And they have the temerity and the gall and the effrontery. And the unrelenting ability to have no shame and to come in people's faces and put on nice jacket and tie and so on, and then say others could be accused of that, but of course the P&M must be held to the highest standard. Hogwash! Scum! Illusion! A clinical case, a categorical case of what? Self-illusion, self-created illusions. Baseless, claims of competence that has no basis in reality. Yes, baseless claims of competence that has no basis in reality. Manic depressive psychosis, a spontaneous and irrevocable and sudden and unrelenting and a proclivity for illusion, and have no sense of the reality of the situation. But I want to say at the same time, whilst I could talk as much of the psychosis of which I referred, I want to say it is planned, it is orchestrated, it is choreographed, it is deliberate, because that was their ethos, that was the genesis of them coming into government, knowing full well that they are incompetent, impotent, and have no experience, none whatsoever. And they continue, of course, to act even though they are there 9 years as neophytes, infantile, puerile, and total and absolute charlatans, quacks. Nobody knew of Rowley in government before 2015. Nobody. In terms of leadership. And before Manning picked him up in 1991, when Manning formed the government, nobody. Rowley will not have been considered to be leader of the party, PNM, neither Manning, if people like O'Halloran, Privat, Overall Padmore, John Donaldson, even Desmond Carty, and of course, the dead Prime Minister, George Chambers, them could have seen the steps of Balize House as leaders. It's a bunch of conmen that evolved, opportunistically coming out of the devastation of the PNM in the 1986 election. I want you to understand the genesis. Rowley's claim that he's the most experienced does not equate with, of course, what he has done over the last 9 years. The most he has done is deliver pain, ache, agony, and has a comprehensive misunderstanding as to what government is all about. Imagine he's telling us that all that pain he put us through, all that increase in cost of living, all those deductions and reductions, whether it be, of course, in subsidies and the increase, of course, in fuel, and the quality of life and standard of living reduces as a result of that. In spite of all of that, he still come and say that he has done well. So you know that he's an ass and that was never ready. What the hell are we doing with people like that in our faces, in the highest office? He's telling us that we must accept that, like if he's some kind of what? He figured that he could perform mass hypnosis or something. But I want to tell you, even that failed. He's managed a failure, he and his goons, failures. And they must understand that people, of course, it's already 8 minutes past 10 o'clock. I was warned today that I should finish around 10. So I think we did it. We did well in order, of course, to, of course, reach the stage. But let us go back. I think it's important, of course, to finally see them for what they are, because this is what it is.
You go run girls now for all in the back room. You can't use the PTSD buses anymore, though, but you go bring the girls for all, including camera.
You're going to use the bathroom?
Yeah, Shashan Zami.
Hey,
Don't call my name.
What's wrong with you? Hey, boy, cool it if I call. Did you contact the boss?
Clip of some school children from one of our schools in the West. Young girls behaving in a manner like hyenas in the African jungle. Parents who breed monsters at home and send these monsters to teach us.
But I want to tell Mr. Mr. tonight, that is none of your goddamn business. Because as long as Sharon is happy with how much I have outside and how much I have inside, Rowley's happy with that. At least what I had outside and what I have inside, they escape and they're alive. Her words are slurred. She's falling all over the world. In the car, out the car.
Nah.
No man ain't digging up my bottom like that. Nah. No man ain't digging up my bottom like that.
All, yeah. Including camera.
You're gonna use the bathroom?
Yeah, Sanctions, Hey, what? Don't call my name.
What's wrong with you? Hey, boy, cool it if I call. Did you contact the boss?
You can't use the PTSD buses anymore, though, but you go bring the girls for all, you know. Including camera.
You're gonna use the bathroom?
Yeah, Sanctions,
What's wrong with you? Hey, boy, cool it if I call. Cool it if I call.
You will run girls now for all in the back room. You can't use the PTSD buses anymore, though, but you go bring the girls for all, you know. Including camera.
You're gonna use the bathroom?
Yeah, Sanctions,
Hey, what?
Don't call my name.
What's wrong with you? Hey, boy, cool it if I call.
But sadly, Eric William passed away. The ship hit rough water that day. Someone turned the bridge over to a captain named Chambers. Me blood crawl, things start to fall. Hold me head when I sail a fall. Captain, this ship is sinking. Captain, the seas are rough. Oh yes, we got.
Yes, people, of course, we have come to the end of tonight's exercise. I trusted that it was further edifying and added some additional gusto, additional determination, additional irrefutability as to the incompetence, impotence of Rowley and his bunch of opportunistic political parasites. And therefore, when the time comes, 18 years, I trust that you would have registered and you go and do your duty to save Trinidad and Tobago from this marauding bunch that clearly are toxic and have weaponized government against the people. Engage, of course, in what? Not just in pseudo-racism, but also in an auto coup to stay in office unmeritoriously. And what we do exactly that. Go the tails out.
Register and put them on. If they don't see, stain your finger and show them no mercy.
Don't forget tomorrow, of course, the ground report continues. Sorry for my delay. My short-lived this morning, but it was due to circumstances beyond my control. We'll be back, of course, tomorrow night at 8 o'clock. And don't forget, of course, Andy, Mikey, and myself will be only too glad. It will be a pleasure for us to, of course, accommodate you on the ground report tomorrow morning from 6 o'clock. Don't forget, of course, from 8 o'clock, 8 to 10 o'clock, 2 hours, we are on, of course, Gael, the Caribbean, and with other platforms that have combined with us, have joined us to reach the whole world as best we can between the hour of 6 in the morning and 10. Have a wonderful rest of the night. God bless. See you then.
If for 30 years you voting them in, and there's only tears as soon as they win. They give you big words and enslave your souls, promising you roads and giving potholes. If they are the reason why the economy won't sprout, when you're voting, vote them all, vote them all.
I choose my word very carefully. You can behave as an effective opposition leader. I think the country is better than that. But Parliamentary is not really elevated in these things.
1/3 of the murders in recent times are domestic violence or domestic issues. And then that you call on the Prime Minister to do something about crime. I'm not in your bedroom, I'm not in your choice of men. Call on the Prime Minister to do something about crime. I'm not in your bedroom, I'm not in your choice of men.
They go run girls now for all in the back room. You can't use the PTSD buses anymore though, but you go bring the girls for all, you know. Including camera.
You're gonna use the bathroom?
Yeah, Shimin and Zami.
Hey, what?
Don't call my name.
What's wrong with you? Hey, boy, cool it if I call. Did you contact the boss?
You can't use the PTSD buses anymore though, but you go bring the girls for all, you know. Including camera.
You're gonna use the bathroom?
Yeah, Shimin and Zami.
What's wrong with you? Hey, boy, cool it if I call.